Welcome back to the channel. We're back with our Avatar Commander deck profile too with Master Pakku. For 1 and a blue, you get a 1-3 with Prowess, which Prowess I'm not really caring too much about with this deck. Because whenever Master Pakku becomes tapped, mill X cards, where X is the number of lesson cards in your graveyard. It's only target players, so you have to pick someone and just decide that, oh, that's the person I'm going to end up milling out. But also only kind of, because you do it to yourself in order to potentially get a Laboratory Maniac, Dasta's Oracle win with the stack. You do have ways to deck out your opponent or to double up the number of cards you're milling them for. Ways to just draw a bunch of cards out of your deck as well, so that you deck yourself out a little bit faster with that. Ways to make sure we're tapping, untapping, tapping, untapping, and tapping again, so we get that ability again and again. Just some good lesson spells. I mean, like, lesson spells aren't like the best like with this set in blue. Like I think the best one was in the green. They had rolling regrowth, like reprint essentially. But that's just a general overview of the deck. Let's get into it card by card. Starting us off, we have an Altered Dementia, sacrifice a creature, target player mills that many cards equal to its power. We don't really have that many powerful creatures. We have a Mind Skinner, so like milling 10 for either ourselves or our opponents, depending on like where we're at in the game, is going to be super helpful, one way or the other. Arcane Signet for some extra mana. Mesmeric Orb, whenever a permanent becomes untapped, that permanent's controller mills a card. So if we're tapping, untapping, tapping, untapping Master Pakku, that's potentially us milling cards, but like we may want to mill ourselves with cards, especially if we're going for that Dasta's Oracle type one with this one. Mind Crank, whenever an opponent loses life, that player mills that many cards. Our opponents are like, oh, he's playing mill, let's attack him. And that's what we want you to do. I want you to attack me with this deck, because I want myself to be milled out to get that Laboratory Maniac. That's this Oracle type one. This is almost a reverse psychology type deck with this one. Paradise Mantle, equip creatures tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Allow us to tap Master Pakku for some mana, and then if we have another way to untap him for only like 1 mana, we'll see like in a little bit what we can do. Rings of Brightheart, whenever you activate an ability, if it isn't a mana ability, aka if it's Master Pockets. Well, no, he's a triggered ability. You may pay 2 if you do copy that ability. Choose new targets for the copying. There's some good activated abilities with this one, but we'll get those in a little bit. Sapphire Medallion for some cost reduction. Soul Ring for some extra mana there. Springleaf Drum, tap an untapped creature you control, add 1 mana of any color. We'll be tapping Master Pakku, getting that mana we want of any color, and maybe, like I said, we'll have a way for 1 mana to untap him. We'll see. Swiftfoot Boots, in order to make sure we could... Oh, did I put Lightning Grease? Okay. Anyway, we tend to want the Hexproof more than the Shroud with Master Pakku, because we want to target him with our abilities in order to tap him. And that Hexproof does protect him from our opponent's stuff, which we do like. Everflowing Well, enters the battlefield, mill 2 cards, draw 2 cards. Let the ability, at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard, transform Everflowing Well into the Myriad pools. Add blue mana whenever you cast a permanent spell, using mana from the Myriad pool. Up to 1 other target permanent you control becomes a copy of that spell until end of turn. Overall, just fun ability. We're going to be having to descend 8 pretty easily with this deck as well. Water Crystal, blue spells you cast cause 1 less cast. If an opponent mills 1 or more cards, they mill that many plus 4 instead. This one is mostly focusing on milling our opponents, especially if we only mill them for like 1 with lesson. If we have like the 1 lesson in our graveyard, milling them for 5 instead, definitely a better trade. Dazzling your elixir. Whenever you may activate abilities of creatures you control as though they didn't have haste. Pay 1, untap target creature. And then when we like, just retap that creature for Paradise Mantle, get initial mana, and then we untap it with Dazzling Your Elixir for that. Oh, well, no, this requires it to be tapped. Never mind, we don't do that. But yeah, there's some other ways to do it, though, don't worry. I've had Alchemist tap to untap target creature you control. If you run, Agatha's Soul Cauldron here, you get a Master Pakku, like, copy this ability as well. I didn't put that in here because it seems a little too mean, in order to just have him like tap to untap himself. And keep on going with that. Bruvact, Grandiloquent, if an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, mill twice that many cards instead. Since we're milling our opponent potentially, we'll mill them for that 5 with Warrior Crystal, mill them for 10 instead. Clever Conjurer, Mage Hand, tap, untap target permanent, not named Clever Conjurer, and it only uses sorcery, but still, untapping Master, on our way, untap Master Pakku, so you'd be tapped again at a later time. Consecrated Sphinx, whenever opponent draws a card, you may draw 2 cards. I mean, may as well, like, deck yourself out, if you can. Fairy Mastermind, whenever opponent draws their second spell card each turn, you draw a card. You have that many more cards to draw, that many more ways to mill ourselves out. Fate Stitcher, tap, you may tap or untap another target permanent. Maybe like tap him to untap Master Pakku, who knows? The Grand Architect, other blue creatures control +1/+1, target artifact creature becomes blue till end of turn. Tap and untap blue creature control, add 2 colorless mana, spend this mana, only cast artifact spells, or activate abilities of artifacts. We have quite a few artifact spells, so really helpful. Also, just being able to tap Master Pakku for some additional mana, another way to tap him. Jorith of the Healing House, tap to untap another target permanent, or tap to untap 2 other legendary permanents you control. That's Master Pakku, giving us another way to untap him, so we tap him again at a later time. Kelpie Guy, tap to untap another target permanent you control, tap to tap target permanent you control. Really just going for another way to untap Master Pakku with that one. Laboratory Maniac, I'm talking about in all video. If you draw a card away, have no cards in your library, you win the game instead. If we manage to mill ourselves out, like I said, milling out our opponents only like the secondary dot with this deck. We're trying to tap on tap Master Pakku so we can get as many ways to do it ourselves. Ledger Shredder, player casts their second spell, you have to connive to draw some cards, discard some cards, gas ourselves back much closer to decking out. Lear, Disciple of the Drowned, spells can't be countered. Each instant a sorcery card in graveyard has flashback equal to its mana cost, allowing us to recast our what are they called? Lessons. But you tend to want them in your graveyard, but you do have some other instant sorceries you do want again and again. Also, like by decking yourself out, you also get that many more like instant lessons in your graveyard. Moth Dust Changeling, tap and untap creature you control. Moth Dust Changeling gains flying. Another way to tap Master Pakku, because we don't want to necessarily have to attack with him. Ruin Crab, land enters the battlefield you control, each opponent mills 3. I put the wrong crab, I meant to put the one that says target player. Anyway, that's his Oracle. Enters battlefield, look top X, where X is your devotion to blue. If you have less than that many cards in your attack, you win the game instead. I like win guns. Mind Scanner, opponent will be dealt damage by a creature you control. Instead, they mill that many cards. Like I said, we could still potentially mill out our opponents. We had 2 game plans going at once. It's possible. Tidal Force, at the beginning of each upkeep, you may tap or untap target permanent. That's going to be Master Pakku. Vizier of Tumbling Sands, tap to untap another target permanent. Allow us to then tap Master Pakku for something else a little bit later on. For enchantments, we have Aura of Dominion. 1 to tap and untap creature you control, or pay 1 to tap an untapped creature you control to untap enchanted creature. So like maybe if we have a way to like tap him for mana and tap other stuff, we'll see. Freed from the Realm, pay 1, untap enchanted creature. That's the one I was thinking of. Paradise Mantle with that. Tap it for blue, untap it. Tap it for blue, untap it. Keep on going. Intruder Alarm. Another way to make sure Master Pakku keeps getting untapped. So you tap him again, untap him, tap him again. We like the combo. Pemin's Aura. Pay 1, untap enchanted creature. Put that on him with the Paradise Mantle. You like to see it. Psychic Corrosion. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. Yeah. I see it. Retreat of Coralheim. Sorry, another way to just help us mill out our opponents, which we like to see. Retreat to Coralheim. May tap or untap target creature whenever land enters. That's going to be Master Pakku for us. That's another way to make sure we keep getting his ability off. Which, I don't know. Maybe we'd like to do a time or 2. For our instance, we have Arcane Denial for our counterspell. It's because we want to make sure our opponents aren't going to remove Master Pakku, and we want to make sure that they're not going to like shuffle our deck back into our deck. Brain Freeze, target player mills 3 cards, that's target player. If we have enough ways to storm this off, that could potentially be enough to mill us out. Didn't say please. Counter target spell, its controller mills Dree. Just a good counter spell. And also like helps us our game plan of potentially milling out our opponents. Dig Drew time, delve, look at top 7 cards of your library, 2 into your hand, rest on the bottom. Potentially getting us the cards we want and getting rid of the cards we don't. Dramatic reversal, untap all non-land permanency control, untapping Master Pakku so we can then use Master Pakku again. Energy banding, lands you control, gain all basic land types, and gets draw a card. It's draw power, and it's a lesson, so that's really what we're going for this one. Frantic Search, draw some cards, discard some cards, go neutral on mana, and, maybe discard your lesson cards because you want those in the graveyard. You don't necessarily care about those in your hand. High Tide, double up your mana your islands are creating. It'll help you get enough mana to win the game. It'll quench you. Another counter spell, mostly here for being a lesson. Also, like it's pretty good value for it. Mana Drain for another counter spell. Mystical Tutor in order to search up potentially our win cons. Rapid Hybridization for removal. Saga's Haiku. This is the one where I was thinking, I was like, oh, this one's not a good counter spell. But it's 5 mana. Put it into a graveyard. This is our lesson. This is our way to mill more with Master Pakku. Swan Song for another counter spell. Zuko's Exile. Exile target creature. 5 mana to do that. Not really worth it. But, we'll take it for another lesson. For our Planeswalkers, we have Jace Perfected Mind. Target player mills 3 cards. That could be a target player. Also, minus X, target player mills 3 times X cards. That potentially mills for 15, but also potentially allows us a little bit of draw power if we need it for the -2 ability. Also, like, +1 you're really never using. Environmental sciences in order to get a land out of our deck, but also being a lesson. Spend an enemy. We give Master Pakku Vigilance, but really not caring about that. Mostly here for being a lesson. Introduction to Annihilation. Another removal spell, same as Zuko's Exile, but this one draws you a card. Mostly here for being a lesson. Introduction to Prophecy. Scry 2, draw a card. 3 mana for that. I'm not paying that too often. We're mostly hoping this gets milled, so we mill that many more with Master Pakku. Mana Cacophony. Each player mills half their deck. Round it up if you pay 6 mana for it. Or if you only paid 2, milling 8, still worth it. Mascot Exhibition. This is like one of the only lessons I say it's like worth it. But still, having this in graveyard, more worth it. Seagate of Restoration. Another way to make sure that we're drawing a whole bunch of cards to get Das's Oracle. Secret of Bloodletting. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may waterbend 10. You don't have to. You gain control target during opponent turn in their next combat phase. Once again, mostly here for being a lesson, but still, controlling your opponent during their combat phase could be pretty helpful, especially running mill and everyone's already trying to attack you. Tasha's Hideous Laughter, making your opponent's mill for a whole bunch of cards. Teachings of Archaics? Anyway, a bunch of draw power, along with being a lesson. Treasure Cruise, or to exile some cards from our graveyard, or draw a whole bunch more cards. Water Whip. Waterbend 5, not the hardest to do with this one. Return 2 target creatures to their owner's hand, draw 2 cards. And Windfall for a fresh new hand, and that many more cards out of your deck. But that's the deck there. Overall, I think Master Pakku is going to be a lot of fun. Just mill in general is a lot of fun. If you guys have another deck you'd like to see, make sure to leave down there in the comment section. But I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much for watching.